We'll probably look at the introduction of the JE technology, that is J2E technology. In fact, so when it was Java 2, it was called as Java 2 J2E technology, but now it is Java Enterprise Edition technology. And we'll be looking at what is middleware, and after that we'll be looking at what is Weblogic server and why it is a part of middleware, and what exactly the Weblogic server administration is, what exactly we do as an administrator for the Weblogic server. And we'll be just setting up the Weblogic server that we'll be installing, and we'll be just creating the domain, and we'll be looking at the console part, and we'll be just discussing about the few of the components of the Weblogic server. Okay, let's start. The first part, introduction to Java J2E technology. If you are aware of Java technology, I feel, you should be kind of little aware of J2E technology as well, because it's just derived from the Java technology itself. It's just an advanced version of the Java technology. If you just yeah, I'll just make a full screen. Yeah, I believe I'm able to see it properly now. Yeah, it's just advanced version of the Java technology. With Java technology, we'll be just able to create simple applications, not really major kind of business applications. But yeah, for the J2E technology, if you just take it as the big technology, in fact, so that you will be able to create high-end Java applications, high-end business applications, which you can use in your business enterprise. Like, for example, you are using some kind of leave management system, any kind of appraisal system. So those applications are created by J2E technology. So this technology is evolved in 1995 by Sun Microsystems. The Java is found in 1995, and later it was derived into J2E technology. And as a features, we look at the Java technology, that is platform independent, object oriented, simple, secure, and robust, architecture neutral, multi-threaded, interpreted, and distributed. These all are the features. If you just take for the platform independent, that you can run the Java technology, Java program, Java application on any kind of architecture, any kind of platform, any kind of operating system. So that is really platform independent. You can just port into different operating system that is there. And as you must be aware of, kind of Java technology. If you are not aware, we can just discuss about that as well. And it is object oriented. All the kind of programs, all the kind of any kind of if you just write any kind of programs, it can be derived into objects, and you can just write you can just create new objects. You can just use those objects to work with the applications, in fact. And if you just take for simple, another feature, simple, secure, and robust. It's very easy to write, very easy to just understand, very easy to read. It's English kind of stuff. Everything is. You'll be able to understand each and every code, and if you just understand about some kind of C++, then it is easy to understand Java as well. So it is simple to understand, simple to analyze, that kind of thing is there in Java. But yeah, if you just go towards the advanced level, then you'll be little difficult to understand the J2E technology. Right. It's secure because it's hard to break code, and because it's kind of interpreted into byte code, that kind of thing. It's machine understandable format. You'll not be able to understand that kind of code. So that is very secure. You'll not be able to break it easily, and it is very robust. It can handle a lot of big kind of data, big kind of transaction. That is robust. And it is architecture neutral. You can run on any kind of architecture. That is, you can take Mac, you can take Intel, you can take AMD processor, everything you can run, any kind of processors, any kind of architectures. And it's multi-threaded. If you take for the Java itself, Java technology comes with a threading technology. So each and every process gets converted into each and every process, just divide itself into threads. So thread itself is called as lightweight process. It's like any kind of task. If you want to just establish, you just create a process for that particular Java, for that particular request. So that process in turn will have a lot of other operations. So what it will do is it will just convert that into multiple threads, multiple just lightweight processes. So those processes will handle each and every task. Per lightweight process, there will be one task, so that it can establish that task in that given time. So that kind of thing is there in a Java technology as well. It's just a brief introduction I'm just trying to give you as in demo class. So multi-threaded it is, and interpreted it is, as I said it's interpreted into a byte code, and it will convert into a machine understandable format, so that the applications will be distributed. It is distributed because the application is distributed whenever you're just deploying the application, the Java applications, any kind of application, Java applications. So on the different servers which are in the different locations, different regions, that will work perfectly, in fact. So it is distributed. And the current version of Java Enterprise Edition is 6. That came evolved into 2009. And yeah, and we have a lot of other APIs which support Java J2E technology, in fact, because we have different connectors, different resources, different components for the Java J2E technology. That will be like that. Those are very useful in providing the enterprise application, providing the useful resources for enterprise applications. So that works kind of if you have any kind of Java application, Java Enterprise Edition application. So it will be like to support that we have different APIs for database connectivity, for JMS connectivity, for JNDI connectivity, that kind of things. We'll be looking at all those kind of things because the WebLogic server, what we're going to study, right? So that is a part of Java J2E technology. So that once we just understand this is what Java J2E technology is, then we'll be able to clearly understand the WebLogic server. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Java J2E technology, I will be taking a full class for this. I mean Java J2E technology, what exactly the components are, how exactly the architecture is, and where it fits in the three-tier architecture, and how it deals with the request and responses. Right. So the next slide. Okay. Why do we need to know about Java J2E? I mean, what exactly is Java J2E and why do we need to know? Because if we are working in big enterprise, right, big companies, I mean big or small companies, whatever you take, so what they'll have is they'll have some automated applications, some automated business applications, and they'll be driving to the the success because of those applications, because of those the enterprise business management applications can take. So they have a different applications, different what you take business enterprise applications. Those are very mandatory. Those are very important for them to just establish this process, establish their business. So some of them are like PeopleSoft CRM, SAP business management software, HR system, bank application. Those are developed by Java J2E plugin, Java J2E technology, in fact. So that is really required. So when you work for a organization, so you will see these kind of applications in that organization. And what are the features of application? That is complex, scalable, distributed, as we talk about, mission critical applications, secured and administered. So what we can do is we can administer the Java J2E application easily, because we will have a control of the Java J2E application that is provided for the administrators. And those are very mission critical, those are very critical for the business as well, and those are distributed, those are scalable. You can just scale the application to many different servers, many different operating systems. You can do that, and they are very complex. It's very kind of hard to understand how the logic behind the applications will be like very complex. So you'll be able to, it'll be little harder to understand, but yeah, they'll establish the process what you have just given to them. They'll establish the result what you have given to them. And yeah, the same way what we have is we have in Java, it's Java J2E, and in the C#.NET, if you just take Microsoft technologies, that is C#.NET is there, and it will the Visual Basic also works in the same way, in fact, but that is a different operating system technology, right? And but the Java J2E is kind of have a higher lead. In fact, it's a major lead in the market right now, because of the application server, different applications of what we provide. And if you take for the C#.NET, there is a Code Fusion application server is there. For Java J2E, we have a lot of application servers like WebSphere, WebLogic server, Glassfish, and we have a JBoss, you have Resin, you have Prometheus server. Those kind of application servers are there, which works with the Java J2E technology. Okay, we'll be studying about the application server as well. What exactly application server and all those things. Okay, these are the parts of the Java J2E technology, right? And yeah, it's not just one technology, and it's a collection of many different technologies. That is like, it has a JSP servlets in between, and it has a enterprise Java beans, and it has Java transaction services. For example, if you want to do some kind of transaction over the application server, applications, right? Any kind of business you want to handle, like any kind of shopping you want to do, for example, any kind of shopping you want to do, online shopping or something like that. You are doing some kind of transaction, then you need Java JTS, I mean Java transaction services. You need Java messaging services if you want to pass some kind of information from one application to another application, right? So if you have two different applications, for example, and you would like to pass some kind of information, some kind of data, some kind of message through one application to another application, then you can use the Java messaging services. And Java naming directory interface, that is one more technology, one more component in a Java JT technology that is used for connecting the external application to the internal applications of the application server. For example, if you have some kind of application which is deployed into the application server, the majorly what we do with the application server is we deploy our applications, we deploy our business applications into the application server so that we'll get the result out of it. We'll get the our site, our applications out of it. For example, you just have a Java application, so you cannot just access the that applications through your browser, right? So what you have to do is you just have to deploy the application into the application server. Then you just have to make some necessary changes, necessary configuration changes to access the application over your internet, over your browser. We'll be looking at all those kind of things in our sessions, right? And yeah, these are the technologies that makes us, I mean, helpful, that makes us possible, that makes possible that we can access the application externally with without any kind of issues. So the Java naming and directory interface, what it does is it just helps you connect the internal application of the application server from the outside. And the Java transaction API, this is also used for the transaction services. I mean, if you are using some kind of database transactions or any kind of application transactions, so that JDA you can use with them. There are many other technologies out there. We'll be discussing it, I mean, a little later. And yeah, and the J2E has one more feature, that is container feature. It has two kind of containers, web container as well as the EJB container. So both of these containers are involved in application servers. So containers, what does it mean? Container is just a kind of box, you can say, right? We just take it as an imaginary word. In fact, it is box, we can say. What it does is whenever we put the application inside the box, and it will just process on that, it will just work on that, it will give you the final result, like that. So whenever you feel like when saying about the container, just talking about the container, you just discuss about, you just think like one box and connected to the different services, like these JSP, the Java transaction services, messaging services, naming directory services. One more is the JDBC services. I mean, if we take an example, JDBC, transaction, naming and directory interface, messaging services, transaction services. Those are the services, and many other services, RMS services, IOP services. Those are different services are there which are connected to that box, the container box. What we do is to deploy the application, we just drop the application into the container. We deploy the application into the application server, that will be dropped into the container. So whenever the container runs, whenever we start the application server, so that application will be compiled and run. Okay. For example, we do javac and the application name .java, and after that we execute Java and the application name, right? So the same way it does, same way it will work, but along with the other libraries, along with the different libraries which are required to run that application. For example, if you have any EJB application, you have any Spring application or any Hibernate application, those kind of applications are there which require the specific library files, jar files, or any kind of different files which make possible that application to run. So what the container will do, the container will load all those library files and will run the application, so that it should run without any kind of issues. So the same thing will happen for the EJB container as well as web container, but web container is used for only JSP servlets applications, right? Because yeah, that is called as web container, that is called as web applications in fact. But the EJB container that works with the EJB application, that is enterprise applications. If you have any application which works in the enterprise Java, which works with the enterprise Java beans, right? So that will load that kind of specific libraries to run that application, the EJB applications, that EJB container. So these two containers you will find in application server, any kind of application server which is fully EJB compliant or J2E compliant. So we will look at the tiered architecture. We will have 3-tier architecture as well as we had a 2-tier architecture before. In two-tier architecture, what used to happen is we just had a client and a server, client and a database, something like that. So there are no three kind of software stacks, no kind of no there are yeah, there was not an additional software stack or product stack. So we have right now a three-tier architecture, that is client tier, multi-tier, and third tier, that is database tier. Right. So in client tier, what we have is the browser, right? Whenever we just sit before a system and we just access some kind of application, some kind of browse, some kind of site, internet site. For example, you just go for gmail.com, right? Or netbanking.hdfc.com or axisbank.com, something like that. So that is a client tier. Your system, your laptop, your desktop, or your browser is a client tier. Or for example, you can have an application to run that site. You can have application to run some other application which works with the, which works on the request, which works on the that logic, with the logic with the on the particular request. For example, you are sending some kind of data, some kind of request through that application. Just a minute, just hold on for a second. Sorry for that. Sorry. Yeah, for example, if you have any kind of application which is acting as a client, right? So what you can do is you'll be accessing that application over the internet site or the browser, something like that, and you'll put some kind of data over that to process on that request, process on that data. And what it will do is when you just click on submit, the data will go towards the middle tier or the database tier or something like that to store the data or the process on the data, to work on the data. For example, you have just logged into the net banking site using username and password, and you have provided the data to work on that. You have just given your username and the password to work on that, to give, to get the authentication to the site, right? So it will work on the data. It will just find, yeah, whether the user is authenticated or not. So that kind of logic it will apply, right? That is a middle tier. So that is the middle tier where the authentication will happen, where the processing will happen, where the transactions will happen. Those kind of things happen at the middle tier, and you will be seeing those kind of things in a in the site itself, right? And you will be sending the data to the database for the storage purpose. For example, if you want to store some kind of, for example, you have done some kind of transaction over the banking side. You have debited some amount or credited some amount, something like that, but it will be stored into database so that you can retrieve the same data when you just visit the page later, right? Because if you don't store the data in any kind of database or any kind of file store or something like that, then you will not be able to see any kind of change. That's it. So you will have some kind of data to store the data for the future purpose. And the middle tier, what it will do is, it will just work on that particular data. For example, you have provided any kind of inputs. For an example, you are trying to register to the site, okay? So it will just verify your data, verify your email address, all those kind of things, and it will work on the data to just verify the things, to just work on the, apply the logic. So that kind of things will be there in the middle tier. So the middle tier, in fact, that is your application itself, your deployed application. That application works on your data and it will provide the desired result. That's it. So that is the middle tier, and the client tier, which will send the request and get the response to you, and the middle tier will work on the request and it will provide the result to the client or the database, right? And the database is mainly for storage and database and the backups. Okay, that will look into the little deeper way. And this is what the middleware. It will connect to the lot of different applications, different product stacks, different architectures. For example, if you take it, application servers, middleware is, it will connect to the application servers, legacy databases, screen-based systems, data warehouses, relation databases, transaction systems, messaging systems, XMLs, those kind of things, everything. It will connect to many different things. And if we talk about the Weblogic server, it connects to lot of different technologies. You name it, you have a connection for that. There are many different technologies. You will you'll have a plugins, you'll have a kind of configurations. For example, if you want to connect to web servers, for example, if you want to connect to the messaging systems like TIBCO is there, WebSpareMQ is there, you want to connect to any kind of middleware kind of applications or products, softwares, you have a solution for that, right? And This is what how it works. You just send the request here, and you'll the middleware software work on that. If it required to store the data, store into the database, it will store in the database. And this is the three-tier architecture. This is a client tier, this is a middleware tier, middle tier, and this is a database tier. This is what the J2E server machine comes in. Is here the application server comes in. Sorry. Yeah, this is what the application server comes in, and this is a web tier. This is a enterprise. This is a web container, and this is a EJB container. And here you have your browser, you have your application client, you have yours. You have your system. That's it. Client application, app server, web server, enterprise applications, business application, and this is a database legacy systems. Right. And this is application access process flow. How it exactly happens? This is, you can see over here. You are sitting here. You are just providing some kind of data, inputs data to request on that particular data, and it will process. You can have a firewall over here. You can just have any kind of load balancer over here or web server over here. It will go through that load balancer. It will go through that web server, and it will work on the middle tier. It will just be processed on the middle tier. That is Weblogic server or a web server or any kind of application server. And this is the database, which the database will be stored. And this is as per the Weblogic server, we have these kind of component, this kind of architecture. This is the architecture. We have a web client, client applications, any kind of thing you can connect to the application server, any kind of client you can connect to the application server, which works with the Oracle Weblogic server. So you have a plugin, you have a configuration, you can do anything with that, in fact. So it is a web container. This is a EJB container. It has a servlets in JSP. This is a EJBs, enterprise Java beans, right? And these are the resources. As I said, these are the resources: JAX, RMI, JTA, JDBC, JMS, JMX, JAS, JNDI. So JNDI will help us to connect to the external world, external applications. So you can just easily use that JNDI names to connect to the internal applications, internal resources. And this is database tier. You have a directory service. For example, this is a LDAP, you can say, to store any kind of users, groups, all those kind of things. You can use this LDAP. This is a RDBMS, and this supports Corba also. Right? The Java applications, if you want to store something, if you want to access some kind of any kind of Java applications, you can have over here as well. And message queue, if you want to pass any kind of messages through the message queue, you can have this WebSphere MQ or any kind of TIPCO you can use. Web services you can use over here. Okay, what is an application server? So I think we are pretty fine with the application server concept now. Let's rewind again. Okay, JVM, it's just a JVM, right? Just a JVM. It's a Java virtual machine which runs user application and handles the request to the server. Okay, just run into the operating system. It will be identified with a process ID, right? If you're running in the Linux or operating any kind of Windows operating system, it will identify by the process ID, and it will just process, and it will run the applications. It will just execute the Java, C, Java, those kind of things with all the libraries, defined libraries, and it will support serve them. So whenever the JVM is running, then your application will be up. So you can just access the application through the internet browser, right? And you can access the application through any kind of other software, any kind of applications, you can access that. And this software is a part of middle tier of the J2E 3 architecture. We have already seen this. And application servers are vendor specific. As I said, we have a different application servers in the market right now. Like WebSphere is there, JBoss is there, Weblogic is there, Glassfish is there, Resin is there. Yeah, there are many different applications. But what they do is they have a same kind of compatibility. They have a same kind of compliant, right, to follow. The J2E, they all are J2E compliant. They should not go out of it, in fact, because they have to support all the J2E applications, right? So they have to maintain the standard of J2E. Some of them doesn't maintain proper, full J2E compliant, but some of them will maintain something like that are there. Yeah, but as of now, Weblogic server maintains fully J2E compliant. It's just a fully J2E compliant application server now, and it is leading into the market right now. And yeah, they will have some kind of similar level of standards of J2E or JE specifications. However, they'll vary in what operations, or they'll vary in features. Few of the features will be different from the one application server to another application server. You can easily identify them. Collaborates with the web servers and server response in the form of dynamic content. You can connect with the web servers, and you can just have a applications request flowing from web server to application server and application server to web servers easily. And features are also vendor specific. You can, I mean, features are, as I said, IBM WebSphere is little different than Oracle WebLogic Server. IBM WebSphere works in a different way, and Oracle WebLogic Server works in a little different way. But they all do the same kind of job, same kind of action, same kind of process, right? And these are the application servers: Red Hat's JBoss application server, Cassio's Resin application server, and Oracle's WebLogic server. Okay, the Oracle WebLogic server features. I mean, these are the features. Ease of use. It's very user friendly. It's just having a console. I mean, you can use it in any way. You can use it if you want to use it in a very easy way. That is a way. You can use it if you want to use it in a little difficult way, like an administrator way. You have an option for that as well, because it has a scripting methodologies, it has a command methodology, it has a console methodology to administer the whole application server. And it is high available. As I said, this is compliant, Java GT compliant, and it works. The servers you can just configure into the clusters, so that many servers you can combine into one, and you can just distribute it across different locations. And you can, if one server goes down, there is another server will be serving the same kind of application, same application, so that it's very high available. If one server goes down, other will be available. And it supports wide range of standards. As I said, it has many different applications connectivity. I mean, supports many different software connectivity. It has plugins for many different softwares, many different applications, like TIBCO, I said, WebSphere MQ said, Apache is there, iPlanet is there. There are different web servers you can take, and CoreByte connects to. And it has a connection for PHP as well. In fact, PHP is a different, completely different language, right? So it has connectivity for PHP as well. PHP, I mean, WebLogic bridge, there is some kind of concept is there, and it is very secure and robust. And the same way WebLogic is secure and robust. And it is leading e-commerce OLTP. This is a kind of a transaction handling process. So it is very leading in WebLogic. When you do the shopping, right, online shopping. So many different shopping sites, I mean, have a underlying WebLogic server as their application runtime server. And it is distributed in computing environment. It's a very highly distributed application server. You can span this application server over different region. For example, if I want to have an application server in this, I mean, India, and I have one more server which is in the same domain in South Africa, I can also have that, right? It supports legacy applications which you cannot replace it. Which you cannot easily replace it, because we have different legacy applications which are really there for around from 20 years, 30 years, like that. So we can easily connect those legacy applications to the WebLogic server. There are a lot of features like doing that, and it works for EJBs, resource pooling, connection sharing, all those kind of things. Resource pooling, if you want to take, I can share my resources. I mean, I can have a connection pooling technology. I can have a connection sharing technology. I can have I can deploy EJBs easily in that application server. Okay, and this is a history. It is found in 1995 by Paul Ambrose and Karl Reznikoff. It was called as DB Kona initially. DB Kona was called, DB Kona was kind of considered to be 3-tier application server or something like that, 3-tier application, something like that. And after that, it was renamed to T3 server, right? The WLS 1.48. Now, currently, we have a 12.1.2 now. So, at that point of time, T3 server was named for 1.448. And SNMP was involved in that. SNMP was introduced for 32 native methods. At that point of time, SNMP is Simple Network Management Protocol. That is for managing the application, managing the process of the WebLogic server. So we have, they have introduced that at that point of time, and they brought into turned to application server completely. And they after that, in 1998, BA acquired the Weblogic. Weblogic was the company who brought the T3 server later time, and BE acquired Weblogic Inc. Weblogic is a company, actually it's not a server name, and it renamed the Weblogic application server as T3 server as BE Weblogic server. And BE improved like anything. BE improved the application server like anything. It brought from 6.x to 10.x. 10.3 till 10.3 it improved, and after that Oracle bought the BE recently. 2008. It brought the BE, and it improved some of the UI features, some of the internal kind of features, directory structure, those kind of things. and some of the features it included in the Weblogic server itself. So it brought till 12.1.2 now. I mean, current version is 12.1.2. So it's still going to be like kind of a huge this thing with the biggest application server now, and almost like it is supporting cloud. Recently 12c is it's 12.1.2 is called as 12c as well. So 12c supports cloud. It works with the cloud operating cloud systems, and yeah, PA improved everything, internal architecture, internal process, internal error codes, everything. You can still see the BA error codes in the Oracle Weblogic server. They were kind of hard to replace, I believe, and so that they were not able to do it. And it has a measurable improvement in features in Oracle Weblogic server. The Oracle brought the measurable improvement features, like kind of they reduced the kind of what you can take threading feature. They improved threading feature, and it's kind of little fast now as compared to the BA WebLogic server. And they have integrated the WebLogic server into Fusion middleware. Whatever the product they had, the Oracle people, they had different other products like BPM was there. They had a web cache, they had a coherence, all the kind of product. I mean, they called as a Fusion middleware, and those all product will be running onto the WebLogic server. They had they have this WebLogic server as the underlying runtime machine for their all applications like BPM, web cache, coherence, and forms and reports. Different products are there for them. I mean, Fusion middleware products, and this is a leading application server in the world now. Okay, now we'll be having the first look for the WebLogic server. So that is the prerequisites. What you need to have is we need to have a proper operating system configuration as per this link. So for example, if you want to just go for this link, you have, I believe this is, if you just go for Google and just supported configuration, you just do it over here, supported configuration for WebLogic server. So you'll find over supported configuration of the WebLogic server, and you'll find some of the Excel sheets. So there you'll be able to find what exactly the operating system supported, and this is for 10.3. You can get it for 12 also. WebLogic server 12.1.2. So you will find over here. Yeah, this is over here. So you'll find the supported configuration. You can find database, what is JDK supported, what is the operating system supported, what is the architecture supported. Those kind of things, everything will be over here. You can just download this Excel sheet and you can just view into that. And we have a minimum 1 gigahertz CPU should be required. I mean, 1 GB RAM is the minimum. Recommendation is 2 GB, but minimum is 1 GB should be there. And JDK as per the supported configuration. You can just look at the supported configuration. You can just have this thing. And the types of installation, what we have is GUI installation, like just click next, and then configure. That's it. And we have a different other silent mode installation is there, and we have a command mode installation is there. We will be looking into the sessions itself, and the domain creation we'll be doing. I'll do the domain creation before you itself. Okay, I've installed the GUI mode of installation. That is very easy. Anybody can do it. So I've installed it. So that is here. Okay. This is a Oracle middleware I have installed here. This is the directory structure what it has, and I did not create any kind of domains till now. If you create the domains, it will be there will be another directory called user_projects. So I'll just create another directory for this. I mean the domain for this Oracle. So you'll be seen over here Oracle Weblogic. So you can just go here tools. You can go here configuration wizard. So if you go for configuration wizard. This is for creating the domain. Create a new Weblogic domain. Next. So you just have to, it's already selected because this is only the required basic thing, basic Weblogic server domain. That is what is disabled now. You cannot deselect it. So if you want to add some more templates, you can add it, because these are not really required for us. This is a part of Fusion middleware or some other extra features. It's not really required. I'll just go ahead. This is SIF server. This is web services. This is web services. We don't need them actually. So I'll just go ahead. This is a base domain. I'll just name it as anything. I mean, any kind of thing you can name. Training domain, I can say. Next. This is a username for the Weblogic, In WebSphere, we have a kind of configuration that we can provide this username and password or configure this username and password later. In fact, it will not ask while installing. So we can give over here itself. It will ask before that. I mean, it doesn't proceed if we don't give it. So I'll give password Weblogic123. Weblogic123. Okay. Next. So it comes with a 2 JDK included in it. I mean, it has a 2 JDK already. I mean, JRocket and as well as the Sun JDK. JRocket is developed by BA Systems. So Oracle people developed a little bit, but nowadays they have removed the JRocket. They are coming up with the JDK 7 now. So it's still 12.1.1 I'm installing. So it's still compatible with 1.6. So I'm installing development mode, this one, but production mode, for example, if you see here, if I select the development mode, it will be Sun JDK will be selected. If I go for production mode, JRocket will be selected because the JRocket is high performance JVM. So that is really recommended for production mode stuff. If you are installing Weblogic server into the production environment, so you can install with the JRocket. That is just recommended. What they say is. But nowadays they have included the features of JRocket into the Sun JDK itself. So no need to select any kind of other different JDK for the production mode. The Sun JDK will work for that. So I'll go for development mode for now. It just makes some necessary changes, some kind of different changes for the production mode to be happen. I mean, production mode to be possible. Otherwise, there are not much of differences between production mode and development mode. We'll come to that, in fact. Okay, Sun JDK. I'll install the admin server. Okay, I'll install the manage server later. We can just run the application server with admin server. But admin server is mandatory. You should not go without admin server. You need to install the admin server. There are some other instances like admin server is not required, because if you are installing application server on the different machine and 2 machines are there, for example, if you have installed application server on one machine, there is admin server is already existing, and you are making another machine as a cluster part, then no need to have install the admin server at that point of time. So this is the admin server. You can change the admin server name also, and by default the 7001 is the port number. You can have SSL enabled as well. If you enable the SSL over here, it will take the default certificates. Otherwise, you can enable the SSL later also. You can do any kind of tweak and tunings with the Weblogic server. If you miss out something, you have a different ways to do it. If you have a different ways to fix it, so that is really possible all the time. Admin server. I'm creating the admin server now. I'm creating the domain now. So for example, see here, this is the Oracle middleware D drive WL server common template. It's taking the template from here and it is creating the domain. Okay, domain here. This is the domain, training domain here. This is the middleware user projects _ domains training domain. So this is what the domain, and this is the template it is taking from. This is just a normal template which will install the standard template for the particular simple domain. In fact, basic Weblogic server domain is a template name. Create. Okay, domain is created now. Let me try to start the admin server. So it says that domain location is this one and admin server location URL is this one. If you can see here, the user _ project got created, right? And if you go here, domains training domain. See, these are the files got copied, files got created. So you can start from here also. Bin directory start weblogic.cmd. Okay. Otherwise, you can start over here also. Once you create this, it will give an option to start the server. Let me start it over here. Okay. So it's starting. Let me access the server now. So once it starts, it should come to the running state. It will show that it is running. Then only you can access the console. Otherwise, you will not be able to do it. So it says starting admin mode. There are standard states for the server. So we can just we'll look into that as well. So running mode, it says running mode. Then we can just access it. HTTP. So we did not give any kind of host name, right? So the default host name will be localhost. If it is running into the localhost, then it will be just port number 7001, right? So the URL will be looking like this. Console. We have to just type in like this and press enter. So it is deploying the application for console. For example, the application, it's a console itself is the application. So whenever the server comes to the running mode, it will deploy the console itself into the running, what the admin server. So it deployed successfully now. Okay. Now we have given some username and password, right? Weblogic. WebLogic 123. Okay, welcome to the console. So this is what the WebLogic server console look like. So this is the tree structure for the components, servers, cluster, virtual host, microtable targets. There are different features, different components are there. Services, if you want to configure messaging services, JMS servers, data sources, database. I mean, if you want to configure any kind of data sources like the JDBC connectivity, you can configure over here, and you can configure a lot of other different stuff over, like you can see the options over JTA, file T3, mail session, JCOM, XML entry caches, XML registry. You can have a diagnostic loggings over here, log files. You can just have into the log files what exactly happening with the web server. So majorly what we will be doing, what exactly we'll be doing with the WebLogic server is we will be monitoring the WebLogic server, will be administering the WebLogic server, we'll be troubleshooting the WebLogic server issues, right? So whenever you have deployed some kind of big applications onto the WebLogic server, but that is performing very slow, or the server is somewhere stuck, somewhere server is not responding properly, your application is not coming up, those kind of issue, and server is failing intermittently, or server is showing some kind of error saying that heap space error or null pointer exception, or any kind of stack error or some stack kind of error. This kind of error, I mean, whatever this kind of error, we will be looking into the log files. Not, I mean, we can look into the here or here also. If you just want to look into the log files like this, we can just we can do like this. So you'll be looking into the log file like this as well. But however, you can look into the log files here also in the directory structure. Here also you can look into this. For example, if you go here, training domain, there are different ways to deal with the issue, deal with the any kind of scenario. So admin server log, this is the logs. So you can look into this also. I mean, if you find any kind of exception, accordingly you can act. Accordingly you can take an action over this. So you can create in the console, you can create this cluster, you can create the node managers. There are different concepts are there. You can create startup shutdown classes, you can create work managers, you can create virtual hosts. Those all things are there. Yeah, bridges, JMS servers, JMS modules. If you take for the JMS configuration, you have many different configurations you can do over the WebLogic server console, and you can do offline as well. You can do with the help of WLST also. WLST is a scripting technology for the WebLogic server. So that is command by command you can execute, or you can just write a script for that WLST particularly. So you can just do those kind of, I mean, once you execute the script, it will be the operations, whatever the configuration, what you have done, what you want to do. For example, if you want to create some kind of server or cluster, you want to create some node manager, those all things you just put into commands, put into just a script, then just run the script. That will be done. I mean, it will create all the things without, I mean, without any kind of screen this operations. I mean, go here, go there, everything. You no need to do all those kind of things. You just have to execute a simple script by writing all those commands. It will be done. So those kind of things are there. You have a command mode administration also there, like WebLogic admin is a command mode administration. You can connect to outside what you call JMX consoles as well. Through that also you can do the administration of the WebLogic server. It will give that option as well. So you can connect to the some kind of Explorer or any kind of JMX console. That kind of option is also there. You can connect and you can just operate onto that. For example, scheduling of the server, starting of the server, you can just view the MVs, we can view the any kind of configurations, and you can connect to the LDAP repository as well. For example, open LDAP I have, I can configure it, I can connect it, I can use that with the WebLogic server so that I can store my WebLogic users into that LDAP repository. I can do that as well. And yeah, where are we to the next slide? Okay, start the admin server. We started the admin server. We have a console home overview. We have all these console features. You can just have a look into the console like this. This is the console, and this is the home. If you want to go here, this is the home. It's the same kind of this thing over here. You can do it from here also. This is little expanded. This is not expanded. You can just close like this. Right. So deployments, you can deploy the application from here. So for example, deployments, you can go here. You can just install the deployment, new deployment. For example, I just deploy on the application. Just a minute. Where do I have localhost? I think. Okay. Okay, apps. For example, if I want to deploy any kind of application, okay, I'll do this calendar war. Next. Okay, I'll explain all about that in the sessions itself, because that is a huge configuration what we have to see. This is when it's just a simple, I mean, deploying application is very simple. Deploying simple application is very simple. So it's done. Deployment is done over the administration server, admin server, and we have a different options to create a managed servers. We can create a managed servers over here. You can create a managed server over here also. So we deployed the application. Let us see what exactly the status. See, it is active right now. So we can just access the applications over itself over here. Testing we can do. So this is what the application we can access like this. See, this is the application you got. This is the IP address in fact. So it's taking like this. We can access like this also. Okay, same thing. We can just, you are accessing the application which you have deployed right now, deployed in the application server. So this is what the basic operation. In fact, you can work with the application server, Weblogic application server in very advanced way as well. So that we will look into it later. So this coherence, I mean, these are the things we have different configurations we can do with the Weblogic server. Right. So okay. Next thing what we have is features, administration, troubleshooting, SSL. SSL also we can configure the secure socket layer. We can configure, as I said, we can enable the different port for that. We can install the certificates, external certificates or internal certificate, what you want to add. If you have your own certificates, you can add that as well. And you can configure the security. You can create the user. You can create the group here. You can all the kind of things. This is a security realm. This is you can create the groups over here, users over here, user lockout, user groups, everything is there. Providers, you can configure authentication providers, authorization providers. You can configure JMS, JDBC. JDBC is for database configuration. JMS is for kind of if you want to configure external third-party application, third-party JMS components, or if you want to configure inside. Even WebLogic itself has its own JMS configuration. You can do that as well. Third-party product integration. You can configure the web servers. Web servers you can configure. And the next thing, okay, the next in regular classes we'll be seeing what the Java J2E architecture in detail view, I mean introduction as well as detail, and history we have already seen, and we'll be looking into taking to the little detail what exactly the project company was and how exactly to prepare the things, and directory structure and usage. The directory structure, whole directory structure, what we have here. So this is the directory structure. This will be looking into for each and every directory what it will be doing. This is batch directory, util directory, and under this domain directory, what exactly these directories are. All these kinds of things will be looking, because each and every directory is very important for administrator to handle. So security directory, what it will do is server directory, temp directory, pending directory. What are these directories? We'll be looking into this, and we'll be looking into the configuration and deploying of applications. Will be configuring the application, deploying the application that we'll be doing, what exactly kind of applications will be deployed, like WAR files kind of applications, and WebLogic server resources and services. We'll be looking into the detail, this JDBC, JMS, SSL security, and there are many different components are there, logging, diagnostic frameworks, and SNMP, those kind of things also we'll be looking at it. And configuring with third-party applications, for example, to configure the web servers, we'll be looking at web server configuration as well, and troubleshooting. We'll create some kind of scenarios and we'll try to troubleshoot the applications. I mean, we'll trying to troubleshooting the web servers and the managed servers and the clusters, node manager, those kind of things. Node manager is one more feature that you'll require for automating the server startups. I mean, you don't have to go and start server whenever there is a failure of the server. So the node manager will handle automatically. Those kind of things are there. We'll be seeing those kind of things in our regular classes, and we'll be doing, along with that, we'll be doing the hands-on as well, right? Okay, so where I believe I think we're done with the demo class. Hope you guys liked it, I believe. So you have any questions, let me know.